Welcome everyone to another special edition of Broadcasting on the Beach with Halftime Howie. And this is a special show. We have a lot of great segments, but the main focus of this show is dealing with mental health, and we're going to talk about it from many different perspectives. And we're going to be talking about many important issues of mental health, dealing everything from dealing with suicide, dealing with anxiety, depression, the drug crisis facing us, and then get into preventing bullying. And we have an amazing panel on the show tonight to help talk about these very important issues. And on my Facebook page today, I just want to add this in. On my instant reaction, I chose people to react about Robin Williams, and I talked about my comparison two of his greatest films, which were Dead Poet Society and Good Will Hunting. And if you watch Dead Poet Society, one of the students ended up taking his own life, dealing because he was never good enough in his father's eyes. And but I chose Robin Williams to have people think about, because in my opinion, it was a high-profile tragedy, a suicide of an extremely beloved person, comic genius. And when it happened, I felt the whole world had a focus on suicide. But as in everything else, as the weeks and months progressed, there wasn't much talk about suicide anymore. So that's why it's so important to do these shows, to raise awareness. And if we can help one person out there, it's worth it. So without any further ado, I'd like to have all the panel members give an introduction, their backgrounds, their experience, and so everyone out in our pages can get to know our great panel members we put together. So I'm going to start with Stephen Licardi. Let's welcome Stephen to the show tonight. It's his debut. So let's hear all about Stephen. Stephen's all yours.
Well, Howie, thank you for having me. This is really important. I think more community members should be having conversations like these. As Howie mentioned, my name is Stephen Licardi. I'm a social worker, as well as a spoken word poet and an actor and an activist. And I try and use the medium of the performing arts to raise awareness of various different social issues, as well as mental health. And that's really kind of where my artistic work started. And so a lot of my work pulls from my own experience, and then I try to use it to speak to the experiences of others. And hopefully by engaging with people's empathy, we can change the culture and change the society around how we talk about and engage with mental health issues.
So, next to Stephen is my good friend Jackie Shelly. And Jackie, let's hear about your history and background and some of the sad things that you've dealt with the last few years.
Yeah, I could say that. Hi, everyone. I'm just grateful always to be here. Howie, Rocco, everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Jacqueline Shelly, and I have been a social worker for 30 years in many different fields. And I have also been, I don't know how to put this, it's kind of a rough day. Yesterday was the International Suicide Survivors Day, and we had a mass for my son Daniel, who died 22 months ago by suicide. So it's kind of difficult, like to be a therapist and a social worker, and his dad was a psychologist, and to have a child get ill. First he had like a physical illness when he was 13, and it morphed, the bullying and, the insecurities based on the illness. And then he was getting all kinds of treatment, although there was very little interaction with the school. So he had like two full-time jobs. He was a student and a patient. And not all treatment works. And the day after Christmas, 2 days after Christmas, it'll be 2 years this year. My son took his life and shocked us and really changed probably every cell in my body. So I can speak, as a therapist, a social worker, and also as a survivor of suicide. And I really know the pain, and that my entire life has, every cell has changed in my body. So anyway, we're in the coping, and I have my own, we have a foundation which does various things to help to get involved with especially teenage and young people and preventing suicide. And we have this card we're doing right now. It's a very, it's not a big promotion, but in fact, it's a resilience technique. It's called the You Matter, the No Run Marathon. And so last year, 465 of these thousand of these cards were given out by different foundations. So we give them out, and it has the positive effect of creating oxytocin between people. And I've been sticking them in books at the library. I've been giving them to dry cleaners, to my gas station guy, and I've sent out dozens to different friends to give to people, because that's actually our foundation motto is because you matter. And this was it's like one of those things that my son says to me. So you matter, and we all matter, and it gives us a good feeling. It's a human. It's not. I say you matter, like you can see my face, and you can see like it means something to me, and so we both get a benefit. So I have these cards, and I hope everybody takes like a bunch and gives them out. So okay, thank you.
All right.
Howie, sorry about that.
Yeah, Kevin Brogan next to me. One of the issues we're going to be talking about prominently today is preventing bullying. And Kevin, I'm going to give you your background, and later you're going to talk about your dealing with bullying you went through.
Hey, I'm Kevin Brogan. I'm a stand-up comedian and a songwriter, and a lot of my material actually comes from being bullied, because in high school and middle school I was bullied, and mostly because I was in like the learning center, so a lot of people thought less of me, and like I just wanted to, I felt ashamed of myself, so like going through that. So it actually, I would kind of sneak by and like kind of like avoid going to the learning center. So I would just sneak inside there, because I didn't want people to know that I was a part of that, because I don't know, it made me feel less. And I did not like that. And like no one wanted to like sit next to me at lunch, and like it was hard making friends. But then I started doing a drama club, and I started like finding myself. And then like I think that's a good way to stand up to bullies, is like finding yourself and like making art out of it, and like just starting to become someone that matters. And so yeah. So take that, bullies.
Also, later in the show, and I think it's going to be we have several cool parts of the show coming up, but Kevin is going to sing a song he dedicated his grandfather, and I can't wait to hear it. And talk about how emotional that must have been, writing that song by your grandfather, dedicating that song to your grandfather.
Yeah, I didn't want to write a song that was just heartbreaking. I wanted to actually tap into something else, like admiration, because I really admired him. So I really wanted to make a song that can like piece everything that he was into that song, and it just made it more special. Actually, and then once I tapped into that, it just came to me like right away. Like other songs I've wrote like took so long to write, but this one I wrote in 3 days. It was like, and it was in time for the wake, so I got to actually play it at the wake.
Wow.
And like everyone there was like touched, and like everyone that knew him, and it was a great experience.
Awesome. That's awesome. And next to him, another person on the panel is Jonathan Cheban, and he's a teacher at one of the largest schools in Long Island, Sachem High School North. And Jonathan teaches social studies, but he loves the students, all involved. And one of the things he's very, very passionate about is making a difference against preventing bullying. And Jonathan, welcome to the show. When we hear about you and why you're so passionate about making a difference with the students in your school.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, my darling here.
You
This
met
is
her.
my shirt. Wow, these are our shirts.
There's no coincidences, my
I'm
friends.
telling you, that's pretty cool stuff.
There are no coincidences.
That is so cool.
It's pretty neat. My name is John Charamonti. I work over at Sachem High School North. I've been a teacher for 13 years. And I gotta tell you, all great stories come from personal experiences. After my 5 years of teaching, I was actually a victim of bullying by adults. And one particular website teachers have had access to, and I was outed online. And at the time, I was not comfortable sharing my personal life. It was not, and it felt like 26 at the time? That was mine. And you took it from me and didn't like it. So I moved to the high school, and which was a blessing. However, that September, Tyler Clemente had killed himself because he was outed online. And I was angry at myself because I love my job. I love kids. I love working with the kids. But I was lying, and I was not helping. I was a comedian. I was a funny guy. They liked me. I was a little goofy, and I wasn't helping anybody by not sharing. So as time went on, as kids helped me be comfortable in my skin, I wanted to pay that back. And for the last 7 years, I've been able to pull from them their experiences and make them realize that we really do have a lot more in common than we do have than differences. After that experience, I brought up a class back from the dead called Peer Education, and I developed the curriculum with students. What is affecting kids? How can we make them nicer? How can we make them better? How can we make them on a more level playing field? So when you're in drama club or learning center, you got the football kid and the AP kid walking by high-fiving you, and they respect the fact that you're going to take care of yourself and that. That's what the class is. And the way that Howie found me is I've been sharing online I guess you want to say a program that we do called Beyond the Label, where we take 150 students at a different grade, each grade level, put them together through a workshop, full day workshop, all student led, where they are at the end able to express through walking over a line, cross the line, that really what we feel on the inside, you need to talk about it. And by doing that, it's okay not to be okay. And to do that, let me tell you, a lot more good can come out of it than pretending in your day-to-day. So I'm pumped up to be here, so thank you.
That's awesome.